What's up, Lego builders? Welcome back to Coconut Brick Studios. Over the past weeks, I've been creating a Lego sci-fi mech army. Everything's looking good so far, but I have a big problem. They don't have anyone to fight. That's like having a fully functional paddy wagon in your garage, but nowhere to drive it. I want to put these machines to good use, so today I'm creating a fictional army of valiant humans to do battle against my mechs. A force boasting of advanced infantry units, tanks, and some top secret tech that would have even Dr. Doofenshmirtz crying tears of joy. So don't forget to open fire on that like button, and let's get to work. Creating a new world means new soldiers and armies. I don't have clones to fight my battles anymore, so I created the Human Alliance Defense Force, or HADF. Initially, designing the HADF soldiers was pretty overwhelming because there's so many different third-party sellers who have all kinds of tactical vests, helmets, and bodies, but none of them had exactly what I was looking for, so I decided to just build a trooper using only official Lego pieces. As a Lego purist at heart, I enjoy the challenges of working exclusively in the Lego system when I can, and this made designing a soldier much less overwhelming. The hardest thing to track down was a good body armor piece. I eventually found this black vest which fit with my camo scheme perfectly, but has these giant gold letters on the back. How secret of a police force can you be running around with this on your back? So I had to make all the printing disappear. The most basic group in the HADF is a fire team, comprised of 4 soldiers, a heavy trooper, 2 grunts, and a medic. These teams can operate as part of a larger squad or battle group or be sent out on individual missions. The heavy trooper is armed with this pulse rifle, a cutting-edge piece of tech that's still in the early stages of production, which fires a laser bolt similar to what you see with the DC-15 blaster in Star Wars. Because the pulse rifle is so new and distribution in general is difficult in this world, most soldiers are still issued the standard bullet-fed machine gun, though it still packs quite a punch with advanced high-explosive or armor-piercing rounds. The HADF infantry have been the backbone of modern humanity since their creation during the Dark Days, carrying out humanitarian/rescue operations or daring counteroffensives that have staved off the annihilation of entire megacities. While often outsized and outgunned, they've been trained to operate in small teams that when combined are almost unbeatable. I kept things simple with 3 basic classes, but I'd love to add more officers and commando/snipers as I continue building up the ranks. I'd also like to build some small drones and exosuits to beef up the fire teams, better equipping them for the new urban battlefields they're going to be deployed to. An army runs on logistics. I need a solid supply chain to support troops and tanks on the battlefield. Having a military that's only offensive weapons is like riding a mighty lion into battle, but all you have are its teeth and claws. Not as effective without the rest of the creature to operate them. So I'm going to build a Humvee for transporting cargo and rapid deployment or standard patrols behind friendly lines, since these aren't going to be super effective against mechs. I designed this build many years ago, but it still holds up well except for the paint job, which is really only good for one specific location I'm probably not going to be building anytime soon. And you won't really see these rolling around on the dunes of Tatooine. I guess now is probably a good time to address the camo situation. Woodland camo is my favorite camo design, and green has always been the classic military color to me, so I really wanted to use it extensively in the HADF. Not to mention outdoor nature mocks are my favorite things to build. That being said, the HADF is going to be battling mechs in a city. This isn't the right camo for a city, I'm sure many of you are thinking, but the mechs are already gray, so making gray tanks to combat them didn't sound very fun or as interesting and would make it harder to distinguish the different armies and vehicles. Plus, the HADF was formed during very different types of wars and haven't seen any major conflicts since then, so their camo reflects those previous engagements. I haven't given you too much info on the Protectorate mech faction, but it was created by humans to act as a peacekeeping force in certain megacities and a potential military force if things went well. But to their credit, the creators did exercise some caution and built specific limitations into the cameras/sensors of the droids and mechs, specifically with the RGB receptors limiting their ability to perceive the color green as a fail-safe in case there was ever an unplanned clash with the HADF military. This effectively camouflages the HADF forces from the enemy, making it harder for them to track and lock onto them in combat. This can obviously be easily fixed by just building new robots without those limitations, but as of right now, the Protectorates haven't been able to get their hands on any of the human factories and are stuck with what forces they initially took over. But new camo will need to be developed for future combat in these newer urban environments. Let me know what you think of this Humvee and how the camo design turned out. Given the cramped nature of most megacities these days, trucks and cars aren't used as often, especially in the military, but when they are, nothing is more reliable than this. Designed to haul around officers and cargo or carry a fire team on a mission, it fills the many unrecognized and underappreciated roles that are vital to keeping an army going. And while we won't see many of these in the HDF's next campaign, you know they're there, ready and waiting. This next build is actually a custom kit I bought from Brick Battlefield. It's an M2A2 Bradley infantry fighting vehicle. This just might be my all-time favorite armored fighting vehicle. It's such a versatile machine that can safely transport troops into battle, but once there can actually stick around and cause some damage. A lot of troop transports are basically that. A metal shell for driving troops in and out of conflict, but this has a small turret on top armed with a Bushmaster chain gun and twin missile launchers, which makes this IFV a threat to lightly armored vehicles and main battle tanks as we've seen in recent events, making this a real threat even on its own. Plus it can deploy a fire team for instant infantry support. The model is well built and I really like the design. In fact, this was the first modern military kit or vehicle I've bought or built since I was a kid, so this was one of the initial catalysts that kickstarted this whole new world I'm building. The tan printed tiles on the sides are meant to represent explosive reactive armor that goes off when hit by a round, absorbing a lot of the impact and detonating the round before it can pierce and enter the vehicle. Very useful in urban environments where the enemy can pop up anywhere wielding an RPG. I did run into a challenge after building this though. It might be tough to work a real world vehicle into a fictional world given it has a real name and real backstory that wouldn't exist somewhere else, which is something I wish I had realized a lot sooner. I was just too excited about finally getting to use the Bradley in some mocks to really think about that. So some adjusting is definitely going to need to happen in the future, but if you're looking for a custom Bradley kit, this one did not disappoint. The only con in my opinion is the treads don't run very smoothly and jam up a lot, but I don't use that function very often, and if you move them a little bit at a time, like for a stop motion or something, they work fine. Proving itself time and time again, the Bradley has become a staple troop transport in both above and below ground warfare. It was key to saving the HDAF tanks that were being overrun by enemy forces who were lying in wait or sneaking up in the tank's blind spots. Older troop transports weren't strong enough to withstand the enemy's new weapons, but the Bradley was able to safely deploy troops in a quick manner alongside heavier tanks, giving them much needed infantry support. Armed with a 30mm chain gun that shoots depleted uranium rounds, it can punch through the armor of almost any lightly armored vehicle and creature, making it not just a good transport, but a solid second punch in combination with the main battle tank. Not to mention its turret-mounted twin missile launchers, so new tank platoons were devised sending these out to attack alongside the tank I'm about to build next. This last vehicle is a staple for any modern military, the main battle. I was a huge fan of the M1 Abrams tank growing up. In fact, I wanted to be a tank gunner in one when I grew up. I obviously ended up going down a very different career path, but I still have a soft spot for the tank, and I've always wanted one in my LEGO collection. After building the Bradley, I knew it was time to find an Abrams tank to go along with it since they pair together so well in real life. I found this great design made by Bobby Lego Builds on Rebrickable. I'll have the link pinned to it in the description if you're interested in building it yourself. It's the same scale as the Bradley and has the same type of camo patterning, a match made in heaven. It was a little pricey though, the pieces set me back about $80 and the tracks cost about $40, but it's worth every penny in my opinion. It was a fun build minus these wheels, which were kind of a pain to assemble, and there was a lot of them, but that's a tank build for you. I bought the tracks from a company called Brickmania. They sell high quality track links in multiple different sizes and colors. I've used these before and they mesh well with all kinds of official LEGO gears and wheels. The links do take a while to connect, but I learned a trick. Assembling them in sets of 10 really helps when you're putting together a track because it's easier to combine sets of 10 counting up to a larger number instead of individually counting each track link all the way up to the final number. This tank had a pretty simple chassis, but it looks really good and the tracks run on the wheels super smoothly. I'm not 100% sure if this will make the final cut for the HDAF main battle tank role, but it's definitely a great candidate. Let me know in the comments what you think. Some of these vehicles will change and be replaced as I continue to plan out what the HADF force is going to look like, but I wanted to showcase some of the builds I've come across anyways. And the overall lore concerning the HADF I shared at the beginning should stay the same even if their vehicles change. If you have any suggestions for other more sci-fi-esque tanks you'd like to see me build, drop them below in the comments. I did make a few adjustments to this tank design, the biggest being to the main barrel. This is the original build, and while it scales well with the turret, it still looks like it would be pretty small and ineffective against larger mechs. So I built this thicker, more robust barrel that can fire either a much larger round or some type of laser bolt depending on what I decide. Now this tank is ready to hunt some mechs. Put into service about 15 years before the outbreak of the Biowars, the Abrams was one of the biggest reasons why the humans survived. Its advanced armor can withstand pretty much any modern-day weapon outside of point-blank charges and mines placed in certain weak spots. The massive main gun was the only thing short of a tactical bomb or missile that could take out the massive behemoths, forcing back the enemy into killing grounds that were bombed into oblivion by aircraft. Equipped with only the most advanced optics and technology at the time, it's starting to show its age, and with the invention of railguns, thermal cloaking, and pulse rifles, talk of the next generation of tank has begun to circulate. I did tease some top secret tech, however that needs to stay classified for now in order to protect the plans of the HADF, but enjoy this sneak peek and know robotic boots will be hitting the ground soon. Now that I've debuted both the mech and human armies, I can officially announce my next large-scale mock project. These two military factions will be facing off in a cyberpunk-esque megacity called Moenia Prime, which has been split in two by war. The mysterious Protectorate faction has taken over a large portion of the city and threatens to overrun the rest of it. At first they were thought to be just AI gone rogue, but disturbing rumors hint at something far more sinister at play. The HADF has been called in to secure the rest of the city and hopefully wrest the other half out of the steely grip of the Protectorate forces. To say this is just the tip of the iceberg is such an understatement. I have spent weeks writing up a backstory for this new world of mechs, humans, and cybernetic monsters all fighting for survival on the continent of Kokundra. I'm hoping to break ground on this project and give you the full backstory next month, so stay tuned, but that's a wrap for this one. Don't forget to let me know what you think of the HADF down below in the comments, and until next time, happy building.